You wake up tired even after sleeping 8 hours. You can't focus on anything for more than 3 minutes. You pick up your phone just to check, and 30 minutes later you're still scrolling through your feed. You feel that constant restlessness, as if something is always missing, and then you think, I'm exhausted. But what if I told you that you're not tired? You're overstimulated, and your brain is literally drowning in dopamine. Check out this alarming statistic. The average American checks their cell phone 96 times a day. That's once every 10 minutes you're awake. Neuroimaging studies from Stanford University have shown that the brain of a person addicted to social media exhibits the same activation patterns as the brain of a cocaine addict. And here's the problem. We're not designed for this. Your dopamine system evolved over 200,000 years for an environment of scarcity. Food was hard to come by. Sex was rare. Novelty required effort. Every reward cost sweat, risk, time. Your brain learned to intensely value these achievements because these achievements were precious. But today, you have unlimited access to everything your primitive brain considers an epic reward, and you don't even have to leave the couch. Instagram, Netflix, adult content websites, fast food delivery, video games, endless notifications. It's as if you've put your brain's reward system on a treadmill at maximum speed, and now that system can't shut down anymore. The result? You're not tired of doing too much. You're exhausted from feeling too much without doing anything. And that's exactly where a 500-year-old philosophy comes in, a tradition that trained men to control their impulses in life or death situations. I'm talking about the Samurai Code. Chapter 1. The Day of Cain. Before talking about the Samurai Code, I'll tell you a little about Cain's story. Cain was 34 years old, a project manager at a technology company in Austin, Texas. Cain used to be a relentless employee, delivering excellent projects and generating significant financial returns for the company, which is why he rose to the position of project manager. However, over time, things began to change. The same man who had once been an example of discipline and professionalism was now beginning to suffer a decline. Cain could no longer finish anything. Projects were left unfinished, books were abandoned after the 3rd chapter, conversations lost focus in 30 seconds, and worst of all, he no longer felt pleasure in anything. Food had no taste, music was just background noise, sex had become mechanical. It was as if someone had turned the volume of his life down to 20%. There were nights when Cain would wake up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom, grab his phone just to check the time. And before he knew it, it was 5:30 a.m., and he had watched several TikTok videos of people he'd never seen doing things he didn't care about. And the question that wouldn't leave his head was, why can't I just stop? Then one Saturday afternoon, while procrastinating on YouTube when he should have been doing something else, Cain stumbled upon a random video about Bushido, the Japanese code of honor for samurai. And one particular phrase hit him like a punch to the gut. A samurai who cannot control his own mind is already dead, even if his heart still beats. Cain paused the video. He reread the sentence. And at that moment, something clicked. He was alive, but he wasn't living. He was breathing, but he wasn't present. His body functioned, but his mind had been hijacked. That night, Cain made a decision. He was going to find out how those Japanese warriors trained their mind control, and he was going to apply it to his modern life. Not because I wanted to become a Spartan or a Buddhist monk, but because I simply wanted to be able to sit in a chair and read 20 pages of a book without feeling like I was going to explode with anxiety. And what he discovered changed everything. The first thing Cain learned was about a concept called Mushin, which in Japanese means empty mind, or mind without ego. I know I've touched on these concepts several times in other videos, but I always need to remind viewers of their meaning, because there might be someone watching who is encountering them for the first time. In the samurai context, Mushin was the cultivated mental state for combat. When a swordsman entered Mushin, he didn't think about the blows. He simply reacted, without hesitation, without fear, without attachment to the outcome. The mind was fully present but completely detached. And here's the insight that changed everything for Cain. Mushin isn't about suppressing impulses. It's about observing them without being controlled. I'll give you a practical example. When Cain felt the urge to pick up his cell phone, that mental itch, that physical urgency, he used to have two options: give in to the impulse or try to resist with willpower, which lasted about 4 minutes before he gave up, frustrated. Mushin offered a third way: to observe the momentum as if it were a cloud passing through the sky. No judgment, no fight, just observation. The impulse remained, but it lost its power. Because Cain was no longer identified with that impulse. It wasn't, "I need the phone." It was, "My brain is having a conditioned craving." Modern neuroscience confirms this. Research by Judson Brewer at Yale University showed that consciously observing a craving reduces its intensity by up to 60%, far more effective than suppression by force. Because when you try to suppress it, you are feeding the urge with attention and resistance. When you simply observe, you are creating space between yourself and the urge. Cain began to practice. Every time he felt the urge, his cell phone, snacks, adult content websites, YouTube, he didn't fight it. He would sit, take a deep breath, and simply observe. Where was the sensation in his body? What thoughts arose? What story was his mind telling? In the first few days, he mostly gave in, but something had changed. Now, heavier the process. It was no longer on autopilot. The second pillar that Cain discovered was Shugyo, which means austere training, or discipline through discomfort. The samurai practiced Shugyo in a radical way: meditation under icy waterfalls in winter, prolonged fasts, forced marches without sleep, deliberate exposure to cold, hunger, pain. They understood that excessive comfort atrophies the will. When you never feel cold, your body forgets how to adapt. When you never feel hungry, you lose your appreciation for food. When you are never bored, you lose the ability to be with yourself. And that's exactly what happened to Cain, and maybe it happened to you too. When was the last time you were genuinely bored? No podcasts, no music, no scrolling, nothing, just you and your thoughts. For most modern people, the answer is, I can't remember. And that's the problem. You're constantly running from boredom because boredom has become unbearable. But you know what the truth is? Boredom is where creativity lives. Silence is where you find yourself. Discomfort is where you grow. So Cain created his modern version of Shugyo. He wasn't going to bathe in icy waterfalls, but he was going to do something challenging for a modern-day human being. Total dopamine detox. For 21 days, Cain would remove all sources of easy stimulation. The rules were simple but brutal. No social media, deleted Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit. No streaming, uninstalled Netflix, Prime Video, Twitch. No adult content, no video games, no background music. Just intentional music, sitting down, really listening. No endless news or feeds. Cell phone in airplane mode after 8 p.m. What's left? Books, walks, real conversations, exercise, journaling, cooking, silence. It may seem simple, but the first 3 days are always the hardest. Cain described it this way in his diary. It's like my brain is screaming. Physical restlessness, constant irritability. I reflexively pick up my phone about 40 times a day and remember there's nothing there. I feel angry, at myself, at the world, at everything. My head feels like a child throwing a tantrum. And here's what was happening neurologically. Cain's brain had spent years being bombarded with artificial dopamine spikes 10, 20, 50 times a day. Every notification, every like, every new video was a chemical injection. The dopamine receptors had become downregulated. Basically, his brain needed increasingly larger doses to feel anything. So when did Cain cut off the supply? His brain went into withdrawal, just like with any drug. At that moment, Cain needed fun to resist the unbearable with dignity. Chapter 2. Winning with Honor. As I've explained in other videos, Gaman is not just about enduring. It has a spiritual dimension. It's about accepting suffering without losing composure, without complaining, without playing the victim. You acknowledge that it hurts and you choose to go through it with honor. Cain didn't pretend it was easy, but he didn't give up either. He wrote the following in his diary. Day 5. Today I managed to read 15 pages of a book. It seems like a small amount, but it's more than I've read in the last 6 months combined. My mind is still wandering, but now I notice and come back. Day 8. I went for a walk without headphones. 40 minutes, just me and my thoughts. At first, pure agony. Then, peace. I noticed things I passed by every day that I had never seen before. A tree blooming, a dog playing. It sounds silly, but I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Presence. Day 12. I cooked a real dinner. I chopped the vegetables slowly. I smelled the garlic frying. I ate without a screen in front of me. I chewed every bite. The food had flavor. I don't remember the last time I truly savored something. What was happening? Kane's dopamine receptors were recalibrating. Research by Dr. Anna Lembke, author of Dopamine Nation Studies, show that after 2 to 4 weeks of abstinence from a dopamine source, the brain begins to restore baseline sensitivity. Simple things start to bring pleasure again. But there was another pillar that Kane discovered, and that was the game changer. Bunbu Ryōdō, the two-way path. In Bushido, Bunbu Ryōdō means balancing Bu, the art of war, with Bun, the art of letters. A samurai who only knew how to fight was considered a barbarian. One who only studied was considered weak. Mastery required both, strength and wisdom, action and reflection. And Kane realized, the mistake with traditional dopamine detox is that it only removes the substance. You create a vacuum, and vacuums suck you back in. Then he applied Bunbu Ryōdō. For everything he removed, he put something that built upon it. Removed TikTok, added 30 minutes of reading before bed. Removed passive Netflix, added Japanese cooking course. Removed morning scroll, added calisthenics workout. Removed constant background music, added 10 minutes of silent meditation. It wasn't deprivation, it was intentional substitution. And for the first time in years, Kane began to build real skills. He wasn't consuming content about skills, but was actually practicing them with his hands, with his body, through trial and error. However, I want to point something out here. I'm not saying you should never watch a series or a movie to relax again. I'm telling you to be intentional and set a time for entertainment as well, so that when you watch a series, you're actually present, not using it as a background distraction while you scroll through your phone. The 21st has arrived. Kane wrote in his diary, "I'm not a different person. I still feel impulses. I'm still tempted. But something fundamental has changed. I have a choice again. Before, it was automatic. I'd see a notification, click. I'd get bored, pick up my phone. Now there's space. A second of breathing between the impulse and the action. And in that second, I can choose." He didn't become a monk. He didn't throw his cell phone in the trash. He didn't go live in a cave. But he established rules based on samurai principles. Mushin applied. When you feel the urge, observe for 60 seconds before acting. Ask yourself, is this serving who I want to be? Shugyo applied. 1 day a week, 0 screens. Only physical reality. Intentional discomfort to keep the muscle strong. Bunbu Ryōdō applied. For every hour of digital consumption, an hour of real-world creation or practice. Gaman applied. When boredom strikes, don't run away. Sit with the boredom. Breathe. Let your mind quiet down. That's where ideas come from. And do you know what else Kane noticed? It wasn't about productivity. It wasn't about life hacks. He felt it again. Music that used to be just background noise now gave him goosebumps. Conversations that were once interrupted by notifications now had depth. The sunset he saw every day on his way home and always ignored now made him stop. Chapter 3. What Science Says. Science validates everything Kane experimented with. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, explains, when you expose your dopaminergic system to constant artificial spikes, you're not increasing your capacity for pleasure, you're increasing your baseline need. You need more and more stimulation just to feel normal. Dr. Anna Lembke adds, the irony of constant pleasure is that it leads to anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure. The brain needs contrast. It needs valleys to appreciate the peaks. And Newport, author of Digital Minimalism, in summary, boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is the soil where profound thoughts grow. Every great idea in human history was born from someone who had the time and space to think without interruption. The samurai had no formal education, universities or neuroscientists, but by observing the human mind with contemplative depth for generations, they arrived at the same conclusions that modern neuroscience has only recently confirmed. Chapter 4. Recap. Do you know what's most interesting about dopamine detox? It's not about never using social media again or rejecting technology, nor is it a punishment for you. It's about regaining sovereignty over your own mind. A samurai didn't avoid the sword because he was afraid of it. He trained with the sword until it became an extension of his will, not the other way around. Similarly, you don't need to run away from technology. You need to train yourself until technology serves you, not the other way around. Kane uses Instagram today, but in a radically different way. He logs in with intention. He posts, he replies to messages, he logs out. 15 minutes, no scrolling, no exploring for an hour, no falling into the trap. He watches series, but he chooses one, finishes it, waits a week before the next one. No binge watching, no anxiety, savoring it. He uses his cell phone, but after 8 p.m. he puts it on airplane mode. No negotiation. So let me recap the 4 pillars of the samurai code of dopamine detox. First pillar, Mushin, empty mind. Observe your impulses without being controlled by them. Create space between stimulus and response. Second pillar, Shugyo, austere training. Intentionally expose yourself to discomfort. Your self-control muscle only grows under tension. Third pillar, Bunbu Ryōdō, dual path. Don't just remove, replace. For every habit you get rid of, put in a new one that builds. Fourth pillar, Gaman, worthy resistance. The first few days will hurt. Accept it without running away. Transformation lies on the other side of discomfort. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing to the channel. There's much more content like this, combining ancient philosophy with modern science to help you truly evolve. Don't forget to like and click the hype button. This really helps the channel reach more people who enjoy this type of content. Now tell me, are you going to take on the 21-day challenge? Comment below what the first trigger you're going to remove is, because remember, you're not tired, you're overstimulated. And now you have the code to get your mind back. See you in the next video.